Welcome, guys. Let's start our journey. The very first main chapter. I hope you have already seen the introduction, the overview, and so on. So, we start with Caro-Kann Advance. And this chapter deals with the following position cd4, queen d4, queen f4. Or actually, here we will also check bishop b5. But basically, this position is what we are going to discuss. Before we get there, first of all, I think it makes a lot of sense that you want to play Caro-Kann, you should start with advance because it's the most critical, most ambitious try for white, and most likely this is what you will be getting in most of your games. White takes more space, and he says this basically means it will give him more flexibility in terms of development. Our main argument, whether we play bishop f5 or c5, in this case we are going for c5, but the main argument is I am getting a better French because my bishop will go out first and then I will play c5. I'll start attacking this pawn. My knight will come here and so on. Bishop f5 is an entirely different direction. Once again, as mentioned earlier, white has multiple options, whether it is g4 or the more trendy h4 white plays for the bishop. We are not going in that direction. We want to play c5 and charge the pawn. In this position, white has primarily three moves. One would be to play c3, which is exactly like playing French, but one tempo up. But we are saying that extra tempo is e6. So that benefits us because eventually, after some knight c6 or whatever, we'll get the bishop out and then play e6. We will deal with c3 in another chapter. Likewise, this is important to know that after c3, we are okay to play knight c6. But after knight f3, we are not okay to play knight c6. What is the reasoning? The reasoning is, just like c3 and knight f3, there is another important move, which is dc5. In this case, we are okay to get back to French, saying that now, you could not maintain your d4 pawn and I'm going to take it. And if you protect, I'm able to play this move knight d7, attacking both the pawns. So if you play knight f3, your c5 pawn is gone. It's basic, but that justifies why after knight f3, we are unwilling to play knight c6, because now when you take e3, e6 and bishop e3, I'm unable to attack the pawn. So very clear, like there is no room for confusion. While once c3 happens, now I am able to play knight c3 because you cannot take, I will take on e5. So knight f3, what are we doing? We are taking on d4. There are two moves, knight d4 or queen d4. In terms of number of games, knight d4 is way more popular, but I don't know which one is more critical. From white side, I'm always inclined towards queen d4 and queen f4. Let's take a look at queen d4. Queen d4, knight c6. We will take another break after white plays queen f4. Before we get there, okay, let's say white tries to unpin. We go e6, white castles. Now it's time to take the bishop. If queen a4, then eventually this queen will make so many moves. Like later b5, bishop has to move, the queen has to move. So it's not really ideal. White takes, we take. Already we can say opening is great for black. Pair of bishops. Center is closed, which means white's only advantage, which is let's say development, like black is still maybe 4 moves away from castling or 3 moves away from castling, does not matter because white cannot break. And okay, c4, bishop g5, let's say bishop g5. Just start playing simple. Kick the bishop out. Keep the center closed. And yeah, bishop b7 will come, knight e7. Then you can decide. Maybe you can even play g5 at some point, or just move the knight from e7 and get the bishop to e7. We will speak on this number of times throughout Karogan that often in advance, there will be just one square for these two pieces. Which means if you play bishop e7, your g8 knight cannot come out. That is why usually either you get your bishop out elsewhere and then play knight e7, or get the knight out first and then go bishop e7. But this is a very classical, I might even say a classical problem for black in this kind of setup that black has to solve, and we'll be solving that very conveniently. But it is an issue. Let's not deny that there is only one square where we are going to develop. Okay, so that's for bishop g5, c4. Some move, kick the queen, because we can close the center. And once again, you can see like thanks to h5, now there is an additional square also. We can go for knight h6, knight f5, bishop e7. Then we keep better center. Now even we have a nice passed pawn and so on. Here black is even better. We are coming to the position queen f4. There are about 700 games here, out of which 500 games black played e6. We are not going for that. Our first recommendation is g6, which is most logical. You are immediately threatening to win a piece with bishop h6, because then knight g5 might run into f6. The second recommendation, which will be the next chapter, which is one of my favorite, is f6. I'm not going to speak anything on f6 in this chapter. Let's first play the normal move g6, and let's take a break here to understand the position. First of all, we have to have a very clear clarity that strategically we are not doing good. Because, I mean, if we would do good strategically, maybe next move we can play bishop e7, but then bishop g7, and then how do we develop? White has more space. We are completely underdeveloped on king side. White will develop his bishop, he will castle, and we cannot just say, I will play something normal and things will be fine. No, this is not going to work. Then what is our advantage? Well, our advantage is this guy is misplaced. This one can be attacked multiple times in multiple different ways, like bishop can attack, queen can attack. If knight comes out, d4, then some queen a5 check, pawn on e5, and queen on f4. This is our main asset. By the way, both moves g6 and f6 deals with that. Now, let's get started. Okay, some move like bishop d3, white can already resign because piece is gone. You can give a check, I'll block it somehow. I was just wondering, should I be safe and move the king, or I can afford to allow this? Probably I can afford to allow this because I'm picking up on c1. So bishop d3 is not an option. The main move here is knight c3. Like almost everybody plays knight c3. How else to protect this c1 bishop? Bishop d2 has been tried a few times. White is saying that I want to take with the b1 knight, but bishop d2 has another issue. We immediately target that. Knight c3. It's already difficult to say how white should play. Because if bishop c3, which could be very natural because there is no d4 happening, but we now get our square, and next knight f5 and d4 is coming. I wonder, just 1 second, because e6, I think I can, yeah, this I can just play f6 and then take the pawn. So this will not work. White tries to play actively, and as I said, from here, once again, we cannot say everything is fine, now let's just protect the pawn with e6, then we could just be worse. Now we have to play dynamic. Okay, we attack. So he's going for mate, we give up the bishop. So what has happened? We gave our bishop. In terms of development also, we are not doing so great. Then what is our asset? Well, our asset is material. Take it. It's also possible to take the pawn like this, by the way. Because bishop c3, you can still play queen a3. Knight c7, we will move. c3 is hanging. This is also fine for black. But okay, let's just take the pawn. Rook b1, take the other pawn. Now we don't have to give any strategic explanation. Now we just say, I am 2 pawns up, do whatever you want to do. And where are you going to attack? Knight d5, you still cannot play. If you play something like rook c1, I'll play queen f5. Let me trade the queen, and then yes, I'm okay to play king f8 and still 1 pawn up. And if bishop b5, now it's time to force it. Rook c1 is forced. Trade the queen. Whatever happens, well, white will get back 1 pawn. Maybe he will eventually get 2 pawns also because of his activity. But there is nothing black should be worried about. That is for bishop d2. So knight c3, the main move. What do we do? Once again, once you have this mindset that I cannot play slow cat and mouse game and I have to go for some activity, your moves are logical. d4. Now, 2 moves mainly. Bishop c4 attacking on f7 or knight b5. However, the most logical question would be, hey, come on, I want to play knight e4. Yeah, white would love to play knight e4, but one of the big problem is bishop h6. And many things are going wrong for white. First of all, once I take, you take, you have to take care of some knight e5, queen f5. You can put the queen on g3, but then maybe queen f5 and I can go for the a2 pawn. And meanwhile, again, center is closed, nothing is happening. Which means white has to block. We attack. This time, with the pawn already committed on d4, white does not have, like white is missing queen e3 check, but he has a better check queen e4 where he already unpins. But we come back. We come to f8. And now we are again taking over. I think if knight e6, I can just take and play queen f5 check and rook e8. But even otherwise, this position looks, yeah, it just looks so bad for white. So that is why knight e4 is not ideal. What are the other options? Knight b5. So he wants to take the pawn. Okay, our move is very straightforward. Bishop h6. Now, white has a couple of squares, but queen e4 will run into bishop f5. If you put the queen on g3, then this pawn is not attacked, which means whenever I play a6, either taking or before taking, your knight has to go back. So that's why queen h4. So now we take, white has to take, and we keep the knight. So if knight a3, as usual, we have knight e5. So the disadvantage of queen h4 is the e5 pawn is not protected. And the disadvantage of queen g3, you cannot take on d4. So you cannot have both. The only way to have both was to keep the queen on f4, which is not possible. And queen on e4 will run into bishop f5. So queen h4 takes, a6. Okay, he takes and we take. So these kind of tactics we have to know. Like we cannot say we will just play by understanding. I mean, you have to figure it out over the board otherwise. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Now again, things are settling down. So here, this particular moment, there is a very nice move, which is positionally justified. Different ways to play. But there is a very nice move that forces queen trade, some sort of queen trade, let's say. We go g5. And we are happy to trade queens, right? Like, what is the problem? So queen h5. Like, for example, if you play queen g3, I will take, maybe I'll play this and just go here. Completely fine position. So g5, queen h5, we attack. Putting the queen here is always tricky. I mean, queen can just get trapped. So queen f3. Here, if you don't want to trade queens, you can also play something like this. This is also totally fine. Take on e2, play rook d8 and so on. But there is also this nice move, queen f4. If short castle, just take, kick the bishop out, he goes somewhere, and again long castle. And if he takes, we take. Next e5 will play, rook will come to g8, bishop will come to e6. Nice position. We are not better here, but we are completely fine. That's for knight e5. Bishop e2 is a move. Okay, just take it. So this take, again, positionally, this could be wrong because it allows bishop f3. But we have this beautiful move e5, changing the equation completely. Now he has to take. Okay, he goes back, pro f5, play knight f6, rook check, just play king c7. At some point, you'll probably play e4 or just develop your bishop. Just slightly better for black, not much, but minutely. So white has to take back with knight. Okay, check. c3 mostly. If he plays b4, take the pawn. Short castle. By the way, he cannot trap our queen. Like something like this, we have multiple ways. Then I will castle. And end of the day, I'm on pawn up. The short castle, I know, like I would have left this position. If I was analyzing, I would stop b4, queen a2 and okay, figure it out. But I know Diptayan will never leave you with the king on e8. He will give some complete satisfaction to the position. So look at the move that he claims. Queen e6, put the queen to f6, king comes to g7 and you're completely fine. I'm amazed in always, no matter how chaotic is the situation, his moves will always be, even when we are going for g5 or something, it's always based on some positional concept. It is not random. It is never random. And okay, additional threat was also queen g4. I guess there was nothing wrong with queen f6, but yeah, why not? That's it for b4. So c3, okay. Short castle, short castle. Once again, this idea we spoke about, queen h6, it might look tempting, but look at this. After rook g8, already g5 is a very serious threat. For example, you castle, I go g5. Now white has only one move to make a draw. And that is b4. I guess bishop d3, maybe there was bishop f5. So b4 comes back, now bishop d3. And then this is a draw. Whatever white does, knight g4, knight f6 is a draw. If white tries to stop g5, okay, bishop comes. Yeah, so it is also possible to take these two pawns and then play bishop g4. Machine gives equal. But yeah, bishop f5 is more on the Diptayan style and also my style. First take care of the king and then you do whatever you want to do. And totally fine position. Like white created a lot of drama on the king side, but nothing happened there. Now he has to take care of king side while we ran on the queen side. So short castle, okay, we also castle. We cannot take on a2 now because of bishop c4, but okay, just castle. We will take when it is needed. Maybe now if you give me chance, I'll take. Some move, b5, and bishop comes to b7. He'll probably put the king on g7. Bishop will come to d5. This was Aditya Mittal versus Cheparinov in 2024 Turkish League. That's it for knight b5. Bishop c4. White is threatening to take on f7. Okay, we develop and we protect. What are the options? So the c3 knight can move, e2, e4, b5, or maybe again knight g5. There are only 37 games, but it is a very critical position, so we have to check all the moves. First of all, knight e4, which looks most human, but already we know the idea. Here, it is possible to play f6. Computer says, I think, some takes and h4. We can go on because it gives some minute numbers to black, But I think it's a non-critical area. Like it is possible to play f6, but we like bishop g5 more because it's so simple. You just take the e5 pawn, forget the piece. If knight g5, okay. If queen g5, just take on e5 directly. And if knight g5, give a check on take on e5. So this is the simplest way. Let's check knight g5, going for this pawn. Okay, we protect. And now white has to give some justification to his play. Imagine now we are able to do bishop g7 and castle. White will be completely gone. He can just resign then. Like, for example, I'm just thinking knight ce4. First of all, maybe I can just take queen f5, queen e5. So it's not easy to play. If you play knight b5, maybe I just play bishop g7. And white is collapsing completely. So what are the options? One option is e6. This can get very complicated, but in a good way. e6, we play f6. So knight f7. Okay, take, king d7. Now, when the turn gives you king d7, trust me, it will be based on solid foundation. On two aspects, queen a5, queen e5, and also e5. I remember seeing this line when engines, like we got this doubt, what about bishop e3? You know, we wanted to be very flashy. But I think engines were saying just e5, queen f3, and multiple moves. I think even h5 was a move. King c7 was a move. Yeah, the pawn structure is very solid in the center, so we don't have to worry. And this f7 pawn is not at all intimidating. So white's best option is actually to play knight e4. And now, okay, we know our setup. Trade the queen and then we see what to do. So completely fine. If not e6, g4. So okay, we have to take. White takes. White is saying, what are you going to do? You cannot take knight f5. f7 is hanging. I am threatening fg6. He is creating a lot of drama, but there is one very important move which slows white down completely. This was played in Lu Shanglai versus Zhao Zun in some Chinese championship in 2024. Just a plan that we know for such a long time, queen f5. And we take the pawn. So if he takes, okay, of course we take. He cannot make an intermediate move because I'll take queen f7. Otherwise, we are slightly better. So he takes bishop g7. Next, castle, and again, no problem. Look at white's structure. Yeah. So, yeah, there's absolutely zero tactics. Okay, so now knight b5. Knight b5, here there are two options. Lars in his course suggested bishop h6, which is doable. If you want to stick to that, I'm also fine with this. But our main problem was the following line. Takes, rook c8 was given, b3, a6 was given in the course. And something like this. It is definitely possible to play this position. But I don't know how much fun element is there playing this. It's not like black is clearly worse or anything. It's totally fine. What we like more is rook c8. So cannot take on d4, c4 will hang. So if you, couple of moves, if you protect c4. Here also d3 is interesting. But okay, let's go bishop h6. Queen moves. Once again, same story. If you put the queen on g3, I'll take and play a6, then d4 is not hanging, so you have to keep that. And now I just come back. And I take the e5 pawn. There is nothing white can do about it because he has played b3. So that is changing a lot. There is only one thing that I'm wondering. Yeah, now if I go for that knight e5 variation, maybe at some point he will, like, if I play some form of a6, bishop c1, a6, and then knight e5, maybe at some point some knight f5 could be annoying. But since he has played b3, we have this. And of course, the A1 rook is hanging in many variations. So it's a repetition, bishop D2, and then etc. So that's for B3. Knight G5, we have seen this already, similar line, just that we are seeing this with knight B5 and rook C8 included. Just one thing I want to clarify. Knight G5, knight H6. Here, yeah. So remember here, knight B5, I said bishop G7. So rook C8 is a transposition, but I still think bishop G7 could be an additional better option because I can castle, and once I can castle, things can be great. But rook C8 will be just a transposition. So here knight G5, and now we play knight H6. Same thing if you play this. Once again, the plan sticks to the same approach, same philosophy. You know certain plans, certain setups, and then you stick to it. So G4. Okay, this time special, but it's not difficult. Knight B4, we are doing double attack. White cannot take on F5 because I'll take on C2, take on C4. So white has to go back, and now we just eliminate the bishop. F7 is protected. Next, bishop G7 castle is happening. White is completely busted. He gave some more moves. And gone. Cannot take. D4 is hanging. And either knight G4 or bishop E4, something you are allowing. So black is just better. Yeah, queen D2, bishop E4, for example. So that's for knight G5. Let's say short castle. So he gave us time. A6. We are able to play A6 because of rook C8. Now, once again, knight D4 is not possible because C4 will hang. So has to go back, kick the bishop out. Only after bishop D3, E6, we have absolutely no problem with this F5 bishop. But the same is applicable even for bishop B3. I can still play E6. How is playing? There is just one, there was one detail. Yes, G4. If G4, we have bishop H6. So G5, okay, we'll gladly come back. And if you play this, some form of bishop E4. Let's even take. Let's take and play bishop E4. Totally fine position. So E6, let's say rook D1. White wants to take the D4 pawn. And we target the E5 pawn. Now soon things will fizzle out. There is one trick that we should know. Now G4, bishop H6 is one thing, but G5 is a great move also. Let's say any form of take, or queen G3, or even if he wants to take like this, play H6, play H5, and either he has to play H3 and let the H file get open after H4, or allow something like this. In either case, black gets absolutely brilliant compensation, because it's not only just the king or either this square or the file, but we are also speaking about these things, these pieces, which are not doing anything as such. So finally, knight D4. Yeah, now I remember this variation, there will be one move H6, which is fascinating. So the line goes with G5. G5 is again not difficult, as long as you understand that you can't just say that I will start playing absolutely normally. Like, for example, I take, already G4 is threatened. And also we have to take care of our king side. Like the queen cannot move. So things can go wrong if we don't play sharp here. G5 is a move that we need to know. If now queen G3, okay, now you can take, get the bishop out, get the knight out, let him take on G5, just play rook G8. And there is knight G4 happening, attacking F2 and E5. So queen G5, takes, and this is the move. Yeah, here this H6 move. It's crazy how important this move H6 is. In order to understand why h6, including h6 queen g3 is important, we need to get this, that we play bishop c5, rook d1, knight e7. Now, normally, this position should be so good for black. Yes, we are 1 pawn down. 2 pieces are dead. My rook is coming to g8. You have to take care of this. You have to take care of this. You have to take care of e5. So they should be just done. Unfortunately, in this line, white has only one move to not only get back to the game, but actually get better. And that is knight c4. Brilliant move. We cannot allow knight d6. So we have to take. And now queen g7. We would love to play rook g8, but then there is bishop f4 check and we are missing knight c6. So rook f8, check, bishop h6, and white creates some mess and he's slightly better. To avoid this knight c4, it is important before playing bishop c5, drop one h6. Super important. Creating rook h7, luft. Queen g3, now do the same. By the way, he cannot play something like this because we take, and also the queen is gone. Bishop g5 check. We can at least take and bishop f6, yeah. So rook d1, knight e7, and we are clear better with the same explanation. And just one little detail that knight c4 does not work because after queen g7, I have rook h7 thanks to that h6. So that is it for knight b5. Now knight e2. The most popular move. Makes a lot of sense because we saw how many times knight b5 ran into this kind of a6 stuff. So knight e2, okay, we go bishop h6. Same issue again and again. If you put the queen on h4, I'll just go for the e5 pawn. In fact, after c3, I will take bishop c1, rook c1 and play d3 and then take on e5. So queen g3. So he managed to keep the e5 pawn protected. The knight is not on b5. So with the queen on g3, knight on b5, we saw number of times a6. That was our way of creating counterplay. That does not exist anymore. Next, white wants to go for castling. And white is saying he's still strategically better, which is right. Because how are we going to develop? However, there is one tiny problem. Your pawn is hanging, sir. So I take the pawn. And castle. If you want to go for my knight and this d4 pawn, I will first give a check. King f1, and now I can decide whether to play queen f5 or even probably better, first include queen c5 and then go knight f5. So bishop c2, short castle, yes, you are strategically better, but I have a pawn on d3 now, which is a passed pawn. So now it's not just about strategy and nothing to do with strategy once I get my pawn to d2. Now it is very concrete. By the way, d2 is again the move that we like. In Lars' suggestion of his course, he suggested the move rook c8. And the line goes something like this. We did not like this position in general. Still, a lot of questions has to be answered here. And we were not thrilled of allowing this fe3, putting the knight on h6 or whatever. So this direction we did not like. But d2 is so forcing. Like if d2 works, why shouldn't I play d2? I'm just gaining material. Let's see what are the options. White should take. If white wants to play in an ambitious way, now this is huge mistake. Now this is lost. We play f5. Okay, now we are also getting the piece. And by the way, if rook d1, now we can just take and queen b8. The knight will come to f6. Queens are getting traded off. Soon it will be time to resign for white. So takes. Let's say white wants to take on b7. Okay, come back. And you always have this knight f6, king f8, king g7. We are piece up, no attack, game over. d1 is controlled again. So white cannot do this. So basically d2, there is only one continuation. White has to take. We will take. And either rook on d1 doesn't matter, but there is no other option. We take. So we get to this position. Like once we play d2, we get to this position. Some form of take, rook d1, no, bishop d2 and some form of rook d1, queen f5. This is the position. Once again, white's move is very important here. If rook d8, we just take knight d8. Yes, we are underdeveloped. You can say whatever you want to say, but I am on exchange up. So it is white's responsibility to show some attack, otherwise I'll just win the game. And so he has to do something creative. It's not on us anymore. Like when this queen d4, queen f4 happened, that was the time when it was on us, but not now. So it was queen f4. Okay, e6. If, yeah, like white also has to trade the queen. If he moves the rook, then I just play e6, knight e7 anyways. So here, at least he should try to get some form of knight e4. Let's see if direct knight e4 takes. Now, unfortunately, he cannot take with the f knight because again, I take on e5. He has to take with this knight. Now this is an important move. Here we have to be slightly precise. We have to be pretty precise actually. The next two moves. Knight e4, knight d6 is happening. e1 is covered. e5 is covered. So we have to take care of this. But we can be shameless at this point because we are exchange up. Play this, play this. And you're actually fine because something like this, you can come here because after bishop e6, which is the only try, we have knight e5. If knight e5, queen e1 is mate, if queen e5 takes an f e6. So yes, it looks clumsy, but again, hey, I'm exchange up. Like give me a couple of moves and I'll actually win the game. So this is fine. Although white does have compensation. White can say that I'll play h4, I'll try to maintain the grip. Okay, we'll play at some point we'll go king f8 after some preparation. And it's completely fine. Also, let's not forget I can start harassing with the queen as well. That's for knight e4. Rook d8 is more challenging for both. Oh, again, white has to be very precise. Like you play a move like knight g5. Already black is completely taking over. Queen d4 is coming next. I wonder something like this. I will take. I think it's just matter of like one or two correct moves and I'll completely take over. Yeah, I think I'll just take here. And get the queen somewhere. Oh, wait. So not this. Where else can I put? d6 or maybe d4. Actually, I like this also. Like I'm playing very intuitively here. I just feel that it's a centralized square and I'm taking care of this. I've not done anything bad. Like, okay, next rook f8 will happen. It feels very like there is a lot of harmony. Should just be winning here. So knight e4 is coming for knight d6 check. It's important. We have to give check. Now, we could also stop here saying that it's unclear. Computer says zeros. But yeah, Ditan will not leave you with the king on e8. So he analyzes some more lines. Check just to give you an idea, like white tries something funky and black is taking over completely. Like, yeah, he can take a couple of pawns, and but black is better. Likewise, some pass. Okay, we can also pass. Take care of all the squares. Come here. Let him take the pawn. Here, white should probably just make a draw with knight c4, knight e5. If he wants to play something like this, rook d8. I think Diptan also gave some more thing in text, but I really don't care. I feel here already white should look for some perpetual. Yeah, I think he gives this kind of variation in text. Honestly, here I would not be like white has to find some knight f8, knight e6. Some form of draw, but too far. And for your own satisfaction, you can have in mind that, hey, I know everything is covered, but trust me, over the board, none of this will come. So check, we go here and queen d5. Next, you pick up the pawn. And eventually, anyway, pick up the pawn. And yeah, some form of draw. So we can say that white has a draw. He sacrificed so much material. But let's not forget, there were so many things, so many times things could have gone worse for white. And he also made number of critical moves. Okay, time for summary. So this queen f4 line, we have to know the detail. Like you will see in the next chapter f6 also, I'll say the same thing. You cannot just say that I'll play whatever I want to play. You know, by the way, there was one thing. Let me see if I can recall this, because g6 was not the main move, it was e6 and some, what was this line? Was it, yeah, there were some lines with yeah, this was the line that was creating the major problem for black. And also, yeah, unfortunately, I forgot. Like right now, I forgot what was the main issue. Yeah, something like this, I guess. This used to be the main problem for black, and that is why G6 became popular, and F6 is a completely different chapter. Like F6 is one of my favorite idea. Like not my own idea, but the idea that I like a lot. So G6, although it is for solution, I would go for F6 in the first move. Okay, so we play G6. We want to play very dynamic. We are threatening bishop H6. Bishop D3 does not work. In bishop D2, okay, there are only 5 games here. I think even if you just remember, I can take the pawn, it's good enough. Take the pawn, nothing is happening. Your queen will come back. Things will be fine. You're most likely to face this. D4 you should know. And the concept, like what are the concept we knew here? So knight e4 always runs into bishop h6, and then after knight g5 we have to check both, either f6 or just take and some form of taking on e5. With the knight on b5, when we attack the queen, there are always two aspects. If he goes to h4, I'll play a6, some form of a6 after taking on c1. If he goes to g3, sorry, just said the other way around. If he goes to g3, we play a6, and d4 is protected. And if he goes to h4, we can still play a6, but in this case, e5 becomes vulnerable. So if knight e4 this, here we are just taking over, like such positions. Yeah, knight b5, bishop h6. Now we know queen g3 is a6 will happen. And even here a6, because we are able to take knight e5. So it's a tactic that is working in multiple scenario. Now, bishop c4 is attacking. With the inclusion of these two, again, all these moves are possible, like knight e4. But this time we don't have to play f6. We are able to take bishop g5, because thanks to the bishop on f5, queen g5 does not have a protection on e5. So I'm able to take here. Knight g5, always this. And this kind of pattern we have to know. If you know only this, it's enough. Keep e5 and queen a5, queen e5 in mind. G4, I'm okay even if you say I don't want to remember this. Although I would say either have the move in mind or have the concept in mind of queen f5. It is totally fine to forget this line entirely, but you know some concept, you know this queen f5 exits. So during the game, it will ring a bell. Okay, queen f5 is a possibility. Then you will figure it out, everything is fizzling out. Knight b5, rook c8. So we said, yeah, like bishop h6 is also possible, like similar idea. But this e6, that's the problem of inclusion of bishop c4, bishop f5. It's not a problem, but it's something that we don't want. So knight b5, rook c8. And now Here, knight b4 fizzles out. Actually, we are better. If short castle, now we are able to play this because c4 bishop is handy. Once he goes here, yeah, this is that crazy line. We can as well stop here. G4, G5. There were, I remember there were many other moves. So I'm completely fine. Also, if you find some other move to play, but this is really nice, this G5, H6. Like we insisted, we both of us agreed that we have to give this. Like how it is possible not to mention this knight c4 idea in course and not to show this rook h7 stuff. So this is a beauty. And bishop c5, knight e7. Then what else? Yeah, then the main move knight e2 where we are going for d3. This is very straightforward. You take the pawn, you play d3, you play d2. He has to take, e6 is f5. He has to take, and you get this position. Only one move, that is h6, rook h7. I think if you just keep this pattern in mind of h6, rook h7, and this should be fine. That's it, guys. So that is on g6. The next chapter deals with f6. So you will have two alternatives against queen f4. That's it. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.